So our primary purpose today is to engage and communicate with vendors who currently utilize dotcom catalogs under the ancillary SIN to ensure a smooth transition when these dotcom catalogs are removed. We aim to provide vendors with information on other legal and compliant ways to procure items for sale or rent under FAR 8.4. And we will provide clear guidance for vendors regarding the removal of these dotcom catalogs. And finally, we'll also provide an opportunity for you to ask questions you might have and share the frequently asked questions with you. My name is Wendy Gibbs, and I'm an acquisition project manager within our special projects team within GSS. Paula Hance is also presenting, and she's a procurement analyst who will be co-presenting with me. And then Brandy Leith is going to be moderating for us. She's a senior contracting officer with GSA. Next slide here. All right, so let's first review the definition of a dotcom catalog. A dotcom catalog refers to an online catalog or e-commerce website managed by a commercial source, not a GSA multiple award schedule contract catalog, that lists and sells products and services for purchase or rent. Further clarification is made on this definition later in the FAQ page. While the definition of the dotcom catalogs only reference commercial catalogs, as the FAR 51 deviation ended in 2019, you cannot also reference another multiple award schedule contract for the supplies. For example, you shouldn't be referencing a Granger schedule contract. These need to be removed immediately as the deviation expired in October of 2019. Using the dotcom catalogs under the ancillary SIN is no longer a viable option. Despite extensive efforts over the past 18 months, we cannot maintain this capability. However, we are educating stakeholders on other legal and compliant ways to procure items, making a smoother transition for vendors and customers. Contractors and customers can no longer utilize the dotcom catalogs for new awards after September 30th, 2024. Existing task orders and BPA calls may continue to completion. So I'm going to get a little bit technical on this slide. It's a lot, but the purpose of this slide is to show the 4 options allowable in the FAR when procuring items under the multiple award schedule in support of an order or a BPA call. Contractor team arrangement is when 2 or more multiple award schedule contractors can team up to be able to compete for orders that they may not qualify on their own. The contractors form a CTA agreement, which involves invoicing, which determines invoicing, pricing, procedures, etc. Recommendations are listed in the GSA link on this slide, and these agreements are made at the vendor level and submitted to the ordering contracting officer with the quote. One would use a CTA when items are already on an existing schedule, meaning the item would need to be on the multiple award schedule before order award. It offers flexibility in contract types. The OCO does not need to make, OCO is the ordering contracting officer, does not need to make a fair and reasonable determination as it has already been done at the multiple award schedule level. Sales reporting aids in strategic purchasing decisions as transactional data reporting is collected in this scenario. Secondly, order level materials. Order level materials are supplies and or services acquired in direct support of an individual or delivery order placed against a federal supply schedule program, contract, or BPA. OLM pricing is not established at the multiple award schedule level, but at the order level. Since OLMs are identified and acquired at the order level, the OCO is responsible for making a fair and reasonable price determination. Using this procedure, supplies and services that are unknown at the time of the schedule contract award may be included and priced at the order level or BPA level. GSA created OLMs because it allowed more flexibility when contractors need to procure supply to support the services provided. The OLM SIN is added at the multiple award schedule level and then priced at the order level. Contracts types must be time and materials or labor hours at the order level for OLMs. This allows for consolidated reporting, and keep in mind that OLMs are limited to 33% of the contract value, not the order value, the contract value. The third option we have is the ancillary supplies and services SIN. It's reserved for routinely provided known items that can be priced upfront and awarded at the schedule contract level. If the items aren't known at the time of award, ancillary sin should not be used, as items added after the order has been placed would be considered T&M. The ancillary sin is not designed for the GSA scheduled CO to add items to the multiple award schedule after an order has been placed, as the schedule CO awards it as firm fixed price. The ancillary sin can only be used if the service or item is not within any other scope of the multiple award schedule sin. It offers flexibility, and the GSA CO is responsible for making a fair and reasonable price determination. Finally, we have open market procedures. Open market procedures under the multiple award schedule program involve acquiring goods or services outside of the pre-negotiated contracts or catalogs offered. This can include purchases from vendors not listed on the multiple award schedule or modifications to existing contracts to meet specific requirements. Open market will require following competitive procedures. However, there could be some exceptions under FAR 6.3, and exact procedures and regulation governing open market purchases under a multiple award schedule vary depending on the specific customer agency's regulations. And when the item is not available under a multiple award schedule, to include OLM or the ancillary sin, this is when you would look at using open market. It is flexible and it allows non-multiple award schedule items. However, it could add time to the acquisition timeline, and sales reporting is not required. So with all of that said, we have a couple of scenarios that we created because maybe they might apply to you and maybe help you understand it a little bit better. So here's the first scenario. Scenario number one, your customer issues a BPA call at 3 a.m. October 8th, requesting generators to be installed. How would you obtain these generators using if the dotcom catalogs are no longer available? Keep in mind that each customer agency and customer may have different guidelines to follow, and we are just sharing all of the options that FAR 8.4 provides. So the first thing we would do is look at contractor team arrangement, determine if the generators are already on the existing schedule. If the answer is yes, which most likely they are, they're definitely there, obtain the items using contractor team arrangement. You would partner with companies and create CTA agreements with multiple award schedule vendors. These contract team arrangements should be set up ahead of time to allow for maximum flexibility, and records of the purchases will be used for the program office, the customer's program office, to make strategic programmatic decisions. The fair and reasonable determination is made by the GSA CO. Because this item was already determined fair and reasonable, there's not another need to determine at fair and reasonable at the order and contract level. Secondly, you would look at utilizing the order level material sin. First question you ask is, does the contractor, or do you have, as the vendor, do you have the order level material sin on your multiple award schedule? If the answer is yes, great, awesome, you move forward. But if the answer is no, then you would want to reach out to your GSA CO and have them add the OLM sin to your multiple award schedule before proceeding. So again, if the answer is yes, then the vendor must have the ability to obtain these items using the order level material sin at the order level. The fair and reasonable pricing determination is done by the OCO, the ordering contracting officer, and the OLM value cannot exceed 33% of the multiple award contract value. If this item is currently not on the OLM sin and it could be added, I would recommend that it's added. If it's something that you purchase multiple times, you have it added at the order level for future flexibility. The third option is the ancillary sin. And in this case, this sin would not apply as this is an item that is already on an existing schedule. So since it's already on an existing schedule, you can't have it, we can't add it to the ancillary sin. And finally, you would look at open market procedures. These procedures are not recommended in this scenario because of the quick turnaround, unless there is an exemption to competition, or maybe your customer has the ability to use a government purchase card. So then after one more scenario, we're going to go over a few other things, so bear with me here. So scenario number two, In this scenario, after performing maintenance, it was determined that a non-commercial item needs to be procured to support the services you provide under the facility's maintenance SIN. Since the item was unknown at the time of award, how do you obtain the item? Keep in mind that each customer agency may have different guidelines to follow, and we are sharing all options that FAR Section 8.4 provides. So this first option is the contractor team arrangement. In this situation, it would not apply, as this is a non-commercial item which is not available under the multiple award schedule. So then we would look at the order level material SIN. The first question you would ask as a vendor, do you have the order level material SIN on your multiple award schedule? If the answer is yes, you move forward. If the answer is no, then you would work with your GSA CO to get the OLM SIN added to your multiple award schedule before proceeding. So you would then be able to obtain those items using the order level material SIN awarded at the order level. In this case, OLM procedures could be utilized because of the 60-day turnaround. If the OLM SIN is already a part of your multiple award schedule, then if it's not already a part of your multiple award schedule, then we recommend that it is added for maximum flexibility. And one other reminder is that the OLM value must not exceed 33% of the multiple award schedule contract value. Finally, we would look at the ancillary SIN and open market. If the item is not known at the time of award, it cannot be added to the ancillary SIN after the award. Therefore, the ancillary SIN should not be used in this scenario, as the mass CO must only award this using the firm fixed price procedures. And then finally, open market. If utilizing OLMs is not an option, then consider looking at open market procedures. These involve competitive procedures, but again, exceptions such as FAR 8.3 might apply. Additionally, agencies have flexibilities to use the government purchase card or GSA's commercial platforms, and this would all be done at the ordering level. I'm now going to pass it over to Paula Hance, who will share the next few slides regarding the actions required from vendors.
Hello, everyone. So each of you all should have received an email a couple weeks ago requesting certain things. All of you were listed in the email because there is at least one or more references to a dotcom catalog awarded under ancillary SIN. Here's what we requested from you. Respond by July 24th, 2024 with all active submitted quotes, BPAs, or orders. We are also asking for active BPA calls that have been awarded or are going to be awarded prior to 9/30/2024. This is only those that you are utilizing the dotcom catalogs under. If you're not utilizing the dotcom catalogs for those BPA task orders or BPA calls, please do not include them, as it would not be applicable in this scenario. Please also provide the contracting activity name, including point of contact information. This will help us if we have any additional questions to ask of the ordering agency. Please also include the order date or expected order date and the period of performance, including any options that might apply. You do need to respond to this email by July 24th, 2024, which is this Wednesday. Next slide, please. If the contractor is found to be non-responsive to this request, aka no response is received by July 24th, 2024, the CSCO or GSA representative will notify you of the deletion via unilateral modification pursuant to 552-23879. At that point, these ancillary dotcom catalogs will automatically be removed from your contract, and the contractor will be required to update their text file via the SIP or EDI process immediately upon receipt of the deletion modification to remove the dotcom catalogs from your text file. If the contractor does not respond and does not update their text file, the COCS will proceed with removing the text file from Advantage. If this contractor continues to be non-responsive, this could ultimately result in contract cancellation due to the importance of this issue. Next slide, please. So what are we requiring from vendors with open orders or calls under BPAs? Once September 30th, 2024 rolls around, you will submit a deletion modification. You can either submit it prior to September 30th, 2024, if your order will end prior to September 30th, 2024, or you can go ahead and submit a deletion if you don't have any current orders or BPAs. You will then remove all dotcom catalogs from your mass contract and request a zip file update to remove the dotcom catalog references from your text file. If a modification is not submitted, GSA will initiate a unilateral modification to remove these dotcom catalogs in accordance with GSAR 552-23879. In this case, the vendor will be required to immediately remove their dotcom catalogs from their IFSS 600 text file or price list, or the price list will be removed from GSA eLibrary and ultimately could end in contract cancellation, just like we talked about on slide 9. Next slide, please. Again, GSA will initiate a modification on October 1st, 2024 if you have open orders or BPA calls. The dotcoms will be removed from your GSA schedule. You will only be able to continue to utilize the dotcoms for awarded task orders and awarded BPA calls. The GSA is working through the details and will provide further information as it becomes available upon actions that will need to be taken by the vendors and the CO. Vendors can no longer use dotcom catalogs after the 30th of September 2024, with the exception of already awarded task orders and already awarded BPA calls. And we are back to Wendy.
Thanks, Paula. So we do have a few vendor engagement opportunities coming up that we felt like we need to share. The FAST 2024 General Services Administration Industry Symposium will take place on August 7th. This will give vendors an opportunity to learn more things about GSA's online tools, improve your market knowledge, as well as engage virtually. In the coming weeks, expect more detailed communication about contractor team arrangements. We will be issuing an RFI to our stakeholders and asking for feedback and input from our stakeholders to provide additional guidelines, best practices, and possible updates to help vendors understand and effectively implement CTAs, while we are also considering hosting a CTA Vendor Day. Also, a new contractor team arrangement training is in the works and will be available by the end of calendar year 2024. We are currently collecting input from all of our vendors regarding the upcoming changes. Your feedback is crucial for identifying and addressing any issues related to the effective orders. Like Paula mentioned before, please send these prior to 24 July, as this allows us to reach out to our affected customers if needed. The General Services Administration is here to support you through the transition. If you have any questions or need assistance, reach out to us at GSS-massprogram@gsa.gov and your CO. If you do not have any open task orders, please submit a deletion modification as soon as possible, and then you will stop hearing from us. If you have open task orders, rest assured that we will provide more clarification and guidance after we review the responses and gather all the necessary information. Another reminder that vendors will not be able to award dotcom catalogs after September 30th, 2024. So please make sure to award any pending activities involving dotcom catalogs before this time. So I am going to go ahead and hand it back over to Paula. We're going to go through several frequently asked questions that we received, and we'll share all those and then take questions at the end.
Okay, so these were, again, some questions that we received, and we're just going to go through them with the questions and the responses. So the first question, since reference to the dotcom catalogs are removed, how do we provide services now under the ancillary SIN? Please refer to slide 5, which highlights the other ways to procure items for sale or rent on the mass contract in support of an order or a BPA. Next question. Will instructions be provided on how to submit a revised IFSS 600 price list? Will all the GSA mass contracting officers be aware of the upcoming changes? You will remove these .com catalogs via a deletion modification, and you will upload a new SIP text file without the .com catalogs or any reference to them from your price list. If you do not remove by September 30th, 2024, or if you do not respond to the request that we submitted to be received by July 24th, 2024, GSA will initiate a delete mod and require you to remove the .com catalogs from your text file, or the price list will be removed from GSA Advantage and could ultimately end in contract cancellation. Yes, the GSA COs are aware of these changes, and we will keep them actively apprised of any changes that may arise. Next question. How will these changes be streamlined so the submittal process is quick and that a revised catalog's pricing can be quickly uploaded? The CS and CO is aware of the necessary changes, so they will be ready for your SIP upload to remove the .com catalogs as well as your deletion mod when it comes. If the contractor has printed price lists / MSRP / a store you can go to, would these be sufficient to retain the supplier products or services? No. At this time, you would not be able to provide any items under the .com catalogs. The entire catalogs must be removed from via a delete modification, and the reference to the use of the .com catalogs must be removed from your IFSS 600 text file. This should be done now if you do not have any active quotes, orders, or BPAs where you are utilizing the .com catalogs. Next question. If we have to remove the .com catalogs, do we get to keep the ancillary SIN? We're concerned that if we can't still hold this SIN, it will make us ineligible to bid on RFPs that always make it a requirement to be a holder of the ancillary SIN. This requirement is specific to the removal of the .com catalogs. You would discuss keeping the ancillary SIN itself with your CO. If you are not currently using any of the .com catalogs for a task order or BPA, please submit a mod to delete the .com catalogs and update your text file accordingly. We believe this does not apply to us as we do not have any products, pricing, or catalog listed on our company website. Can your team send over any links or documentation as to what you believe could be considered a .com catalog? A .com catalog refers to an online catalog or e-commerce website managed by a commercial source that lists and sells products and services for purchase or rent. Please email gssmassprogram@gsa.gov for a review of your price list, as there have been some identified where a contractor was not aware that they were there. Note, you also cannot include a GSA schedule contract reference. The FAR 51 deviation ended in October of 2019. If you have any references to utilization of a GSA contract, that will need to be removed from your text file and via delete modification immediately. Next question. What will be the effects of a GSA task order awarded before and after September 30th, 2024 in regards to the use of the online vendor catalogs? Vendors may no longer use .com catalogs after the 30th of September 2024, with the exception of already awarded task orders and already awarded BPA calls. After the 30th of September 2024, .com catalogs will be removed from the mass contract and subsequent BPAs and could no longer be utilized for future task orders or current BPAs. They can still be used for already awarded BPA calls, just to clarify. Next question. What would be the steps of a GSA task order awarded after 30th September 2024 without the online vendor catalogs? GSA is working to set up additional training for contractor team arrangements to address products needed. Refer to slide 5 that highlights the other ways to procure items for sale or rent en masse in support of an order or a BPA call. The email states that our company currently holds at least one .com catalog. We would like to know which is considered .com. The ancillary suppliers we list all have brick and mortar purchasing and or have actual paper catalogs. All of these need to be removed. If the individual items are not awarded under your contract at a fixed price, pursuant to FAR 8.404D, they cannot be provided. For example, you will need to remove any references to an RS means for ancillary supplies or services under the SIN ancillary, or any reference to a Granger store or a Trademaster store. That will also have to be removed. Each item or service must be awarded under a mass contract at a fixed price. So now for additional questions.
Yeah, Brandy, do you have any questions that you are monitoring in the chat box?
Yes, so we do have a few minutes to answer some questions, and I do have a few that showed up. The first question is, we have no open awards on our mass contract, and we have no bids outstanding on our mass contract. What should we do?
You will submit a modification to delete the dotcom catalogs from your scheduled contract. If you do not know where those are referenced on your on your contract, please reference the GSS Mass Program Office at gsa.gov. And you will also need to submit a new zip file to remove any references to the dotcom catalogs. Please just reach out if you have any questions on where those are located on your text file.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula. We have a second question. We have never submitted a deletion modification. Where can we get support for submitting such a modification?
So we do have the VSC help desk, and we can also, why don't you also reach out to our mailbox, and we will connect you with the CO and work with you on the process for submitting a delete modification.
Okay, another question. We have already initiated a deletion modification. Do we still need to respond to the email request?
Nope, that's your response. So as long as you've submitted that delete modification, just please email the GSS Mass Program at gsa.gov if you haven't already, to let us know that you have submitted that delete modification. We would greatly appreciate that for tracking purposes.
Awesome, thank you. One more question. What type of deletion modification do we submit? There are several types.
Delete, so it would be ancillary sin. You could submit a delete products. I believe that's one of the types.
And my CO did not request a list of open BPAs and task orders. Rather, she asked me to initiate a deletion of the dotcom catalog. How should they proceed?
Can you please send me an email to the GSS Mass Program at gsa.gov, and we will look into your question.
And that is all the questions that we have for today. Now, if you guys have any other questions, please put them in the Q&A pod. We're trying to capture all questions. I would like for you to understand that your questions are very important to us to help us ensure that everyone leaves here with a clear understanding of the transition of the dotcom catalogs. Oh, we got another question here. Okay. RS means is does not sell commercial products or services, but is widely used pricing program used widely by the government. RS means is a requirement on many of our non-GSA contracts as it is vetted. Why is it not appropriate option for GSA?
It is not under this SIN. There is a SIN 238910 where the use of RS means is authorized for in conjunction with another SIN, but that is the only SIN that it is allowed for. So under the mass contract, items and services have to be awarded in accordance with FAR 8.40D at fixed prices. That doesn't mean that you can't utilize the RS means to develop your offered pricing for a particular item or service, but it is just not an option under the ancillary SIN to price to not have items specifically awarded at fixed prices.
Well, thank you so much, Paula, for that. If you guys have any more questions, please put them in the chat pod. But as of right now, we don't have any more questions submitted.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Paula. So our stakeholders are really important to us. And so please feel free to reach out to GSS Mass Program at gsa.gov should you have any additional questions. This email allows us to track responses, and you will hear from one of us rather quickly. We will be sending out the slides the recording, and FAQs by the end of the week. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful rest of the week.